The deepest wound you carry is not the one inflicted by the world, but the one planted within the walls of your home. The greatest battle isn't fought out there, in the streets or in the systems that fail you, but inside the confines of the people who are supposed to love you the most. Your family, they are the ones who shape your first beliefs about who you are, about your worth, about your place in this world. And when their love is conditional, when it comes wrapped in judgment, expectation, and the demand that you become someone you're not, you start to shrink. You start to bend and twist to fit into a mold that was never meant for you. And the wound, it grows deeper, it festers. Every time you seek their approval and don't get it, every time you try to show them who you are, only to be met with resistance or misunderstanding, it chips away at your sense of self. But you keep going. You keep trying, because deep down you want to believe that their approval, their love, will somehow complete you. That if they just understood, if they just saw you for who you truly are, everything would fall into place. But here's the truth. Your family will never fully understand you. Not because they don't love you, not because they don't care, but because the path you walk is uniquely yours. They cannot walk it for you. They cannot see through your eyes, feel what you feel, or experience the journey you are on. Their view of you is shaped by their own fears, their own limitations, their own upbringing, not by the infinite potential that lives within you. And so, the real question becomes, can you love them and still choose yourself? This is the place where true freedom lies. True love is not dependent on others' understanding of you. It's not dependent on their approval, their validation, or their acceptance. True love begins when you no longer need them to understand you, to accept you, or to approve of the life you are building. True love begins when you realize that your worth does not come from their opinions, and that their inability to see your greatness does not diminish it. You were born with a fire inside of you, a spark of purpose that no one else can define. And when you're bound by the expectations of your family, by their standards of what's acceptable or what's right, you begin to bury that spark. You start to dim yourself to fit their narrative of who you should be. But this is where the shift begins. When you choose to stop hiding, when you choose to stop contorting yourself to meet the standards of others, when you choose to honor the truth of who you are, even if they don't understand it, you begin to step into your own power. True love is not about waiting for your family to give you permission to live the life you've been dreaming of. It's about realizing that you are the one who gets to give yourself permission. You get to decide what you believe, what you value, and how you move through this world. And it's only when you stop needing their approval that you will finally feel the fullness of who you are, unfettered by the chains of expectations that have kept you small for so long. There's a freedom in this. It's the freedom to love without condition, to love yourself, to love others, without the need for validation, without the need for understanding. It's the freedom to show up in the world exactly as you are, knowing that you are worthy of love, of success, and of everything life has to offer regardless of what anyone else thinks. This doesn't mean that you have to sever ties, that you have to walk away from your family, or that you stop caring about them. It simply means that you stop relying on them to fill the gaps in your soul. You stop needing them to be the source of your validation. And in doing so, you become whole. You become sovereign in your own life. And this is the essence of true love. The ability to love freely and without attachment to approval. When you no longer need your family to understand you, you free yourself from the limitations that come with their understanding. You no longer feel like you have to explain yourself to justify your choices, to convince them of your worth. You simply live it. What happens when you embrace this freedom, when you choose to be true to yourself, even when they don't get it? You stop waiting for them to give you the green light. You stop holding your breath for their acceptance. You stop living in the shadow of their expectations, and the world begins to open up to you. Because now you are free to chase your dreams, to live on your terms, to define your path. You are no longer confined to the narrative they've written for you. And the beauty of it is that this kind of freedom is contagious. The moment you stop needing validation from others, from your family, from society, from the people around you, you give others permission to do the same. You show them that it's possible to live authentically, to pursue your truth without apology, without fear of rejection. You show them that it's okay to step into your power, no matter how much it scares them, and that love isn't dependent on someone else's understanding of you. When you no longer need your family's approval, you begin to create relationships that are based on mutual respect, trust, and love. Not because you're trying to prove something to them, but because you're showing up as who you really are. You are giving yourself the space to be seen, and in doing so, you invite others to see you too, not through the lens of their expectations, but through the lens of your truth. This kind of love, the love that comes when you no longer need anyone else to understand you, is the purest form of connection. It's the connection that transcends judgment, that transcends fear. It's a connection that allows you to be whole, to be yourself, and to love yourself fully without needing anyone else's permission. The real shift comes when you realize that you are enough exactly as you are. The only person who needs to understand you at the deepest level is you. When you choose to honor your own understanding of yourself, when you give yourself the grace to be imperfect, to make mistakes, to stumble and rise again, that's when you stop living for approval. That's when you stop being bound by the weight of the past, by the expectations of those who may never fully see you. And the truth is, you can still love them. You can love your family fiercely without needing them to love you in return, without needing them to understand your choices or your journey. Because love is not conditional. True love is when you can stand in your own truth, when you no longer need anyone to validate your existence. It is a love that exists because you choose to love, not because you need something from it. The moment you no longer need your family to understand you, you begin to fully understand yourself. And in that understanding, in that deep, unwavering acceptance of who you are, you step into your power. You stop living in the shadows of their expectations and begin to live fully in the light of your own truth. And that, my friend, is the most profound love there, is the love you give yourself. The love that exists when you no longer need anyone else's approval to know that you are enough, you are worthy, you are whole. True love is when you stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to live your life. It's when you step fully into who you are and say, I am enough, and I will no longer wait for anyone to validate my existence. In that moment, you stop seeking approval and start living as the full expression of who you were always meant to be. Now go, live that truth, love yourself, honor your path, and know that in doing so, you will change the world around you. Because when you stop waiting for someone to understand you, you create a life that's all your own. And that life, when lived authentically, is the truest form of love you can offer the world. In this moment of realization, something powerful starts to awaken within you. The fear starts to lose its grip. The fear of being misunderstood, the fear of being judged, the fear of being abandoned. They all begin to fade in the light of a single truth. You no longer need to fight for your place in the world. You no longer need to fight for the love, the recognition, or the approval of those who will never fully understand you. You are your own approval. You are your own love. And with that understanding comes an immense sense of peace, a quiet confidence that rises from deep within your soul. For so long, you've sought external validation from your family, your friends, the world around you. But true peace only comes when you look inward and recognize that everything you've ever sought is already inside of you. This doesn't mean that you shut out your family or stop caring about them. It means you stop seeking their validation to feel worthy. It means you let go of the burden of trying to fit into their expectations and give yourself permission to be who you truly are. And when you do this, something unexpected happens. The love you always longed for starts flowing in an entirely new direction. Instead of seeking their love, you start to give them the space to love you as you truly are, without conditions, without strings, without expectations. You stop performing for them, and in doing so, you give them permission to drop their act as well. You give them the space to see you for who you truly are, raw, unfiltered, beautiful in your complexity. And in that space, love becomes real. Because true love is not about meeting each other's expectations. It's about accepting each other for who you are, without needing to mold the other person into a version of themselves that fits your idea of what they should be. True love is freedom, freedom to exist as you are, free from the need to prove, to perform, to live up to someone else's vision of you. And in that freedom, love becomes pure. It becomes unconditional. The moment you stop needing others to understand you, you create the conditions for deeper, more meaningful relationships. No longer are you playing a role or living in a constant state of performance. Now, when you meet someone, you meet them as who you really are, without the walls of fear, expectation, or self-doubt. And when you love from this place, the love is not forced, it is not manufactured, it is authentic, it is real, it is grounded in the truth of your existence. In this space of realness, you begin to connect with others on a deeper level. You start to attract the people who see you not through the lens of their expectations, but through the clarity of their own truth. You begin to build relationships that are based on mutual acceptance, freedom, and respect. Relationships that aren't transactional, but transformative. This is the power of stepping into your own truth. When you stop asking for approval, you stop feeling the need to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. You are no longer walking through life in the shadows of other people's expectations, but in the light of your own truth. And the freedom that comes with this, it's boundless. You no longer need to shape yourself around what they want, around what they believe, around what they think is best for you. You become the architect of your own life, building it on your terms, following your own intuition, walking your own path. This, my friend, is where true freedom lies, not in the approval of others, but in the approval you give yourself. And when you give yourself that approval, when you start to believe in your own worth, in your own journey, you no longer need others to affirm that you are enough. You will know, without question, that you always have been. True love isn't just about romantic connections or familial bonds. It's about learning to love yourself first, with no conditions, no reservations, no fear of being judged. When you love yourself completely, you stop needing others to fill the gaps you've been trying to fill through them. You stop needing validation from outside sources. You become whole. In this wholeness, the people around you will start to reflect that same sense of self-acceptance. The relationships you attract will be mirrors of your own inner transformation. People will be drawn to your authenticity, your confidence, your sense of self-worth. And the love you create in your life will no longer be conditional, because it will no longer be based on a fear of rejection or misunderstanding. You will be free to create the life you've always wanted, free from the chains of seeking approval. And when you stop needing anyone else to understand you, you realize that the only thing that truly matters is that you understand yourself. When you see yourself, when you accept yourself in your entirety with your flaws, your mistakes, your dreams, your fears, you create space for a love that is pure, limitless, and bound by nothing. True love is not based on anyone's conditions but your own. It begins with you. It begins with you loving yourself so fiercely that no one else's opinion can shake you. It begins with the realization that you don't need to prove yourself to anyone, not your family, not your friends, not the world. You are enough as you are. And in that love for yourself, you become a magnet for everything you've ever wanted, the people, the opportunities, the experiences. Because the moment you stop seeking their approval, you stop giving them the power to determine your worth. And that is the moment you step into your greatness. That is the moment everything changes. So go ahead, love yourself completely. Step out of the shadows of fear and into the light of your own truth. And in that truth, in that love, you will find everything you've been searching for. Because when you no longer need your family or anyone else to understand you, you will finally understand yourself. And that understanding, that acceptance, is the greatest form of love there is. Now stand in that love. Stand in your truth. The world is waiting for the real you to show up. And this, my friend, is the most revolutionary act you can ever make. The act of choosing yourself. Choosing to stop living as an extension of other people's expectations, as a reflection of their ideals, their hopes, and their demands. You are not a product of what they thought you should be. You are not a result of their limitations or their beliefs about who you are. You are your own creation. And in this realization, you are given the most precious gift, the gift of self-possession. No longer do you depend on external validation to feel whole. No longer are you tied to their approval for your sense of worth. You stand on your own. What happens next is a profound shift. Once you make the decision to free yourself from the shackles of needing to be understood, you begin to reclaim the power of choice. You start to choose your relationships, your path, your actions from a place of pure, unfiltered authenticity. You are no longer shaped by the opinions of others. Their doubts, their fears, their criticisms no longer carry weight. And this power, this freedom, is magnetic. It is the force that attracts the people who truly resonate with your soul's essence. You will no longer feel alone in your journey, because the right people, the ones who see you, who understand your essence without needing to change you, will be drawn to your energy. You will build relationships based not on approval or expectation, but on the deep, unshakable truth that you are both walking your authentic paths. But here's the real breakthrough. You no longer need the validation of anyone to live your life. You stop needing to explain yourself. You stop needing to justify your decisions, your choices, your life. The truth you live in, the authenticity you embody, is enough to create the life you've always wanted, without the need for anyone's approval. In this space, you become fully alive, not because they understand you, but because you understand yourself. You stop waiting for someone else to see your worth. You stop hoping that one day they'll recognize what you've always known, that you are enough, just as you are. When you no longer need your family to understand you, you finally give yourself permission to thrive. You stop contorting yourself to meet their expectations. You stop fighting for approval. You simply exist as you are, and that is enough. And in this space of truth, a beautiful thing happens. You start to see that the love you've been searching for was always within you. It wasn't something they could give you. It wasn't something you could earn or work for. It was something you had to choose, to cultivate, and to accept. True love, the love that sustains you, the love that nourishes your soul, comes from within. It is the love you give to yourself unconditionally, without need for approval. And once you embrace this, once you fully realize that you are the source of your own love, the world shifts. When you are no longer searching for validation, you begin to create from a place of wholeness, not from a place of scarcity or longing. You no longer look to others to fill the gaps you've been conditioned to believe exist. You are full. You are complete. In that completeness, you discover something miraculous. You can love others fully, deeply, without needing them to meet your expectations or validate your choices. You no longer need them to mirror back to you your worth. You simply love because you have the capacity to love without strings attached, without the fear of rejection. And this kind of love, this self-love, is the foundation for everything. It is the cornerstone of your freedom, of your peace, of your success. When you love yourself, you stop measuring your value based on what others think or how they treat you. You start measuring it by your own standards, your own truths. You stop living for anyone else's approval. You live for you. In that space, the family you've always wanted, the people who truly see you, will naturally appear. Not because you forced it, but because you became the person who no longer needed to be understood. The universe will mirror your own transformation, and in doing so, it will bring people into your life who celebrate your truth, who accept you fully for who you are. And that is the deepest connection, the purest love. So let go. Let go of the expectation that they need to see you for who you truly are. Let go of the idea that their approval will somehow complete you. You are already whole. You are already perfect in your imperfection. True love is when you stop asking for permission to be yourself. It's when you stop waiting for anyone else to give you the approval you've always craved. It's when you decide to stop shrinking yourself to fit into a mold that was never meant for you. And instead, you choose to stand tall in your authenticity. The moment you choose yourself, the world around you begins to shift. Your family may never fully understand, but they will begin to respect you, because in your self-respect, you show them the greatest love of all, the love that starts within. And from that place of love, you can finally experience the freedom to live, to be, to love. Not because anyone else understands you, but because you understand yourself. You understand your worth. You understand that you are enough, and in that realization, everything changes. Because when you no longer need anyone else's approval to live your truth, you step into the life you were always meant to create. You build the future you've always desired, based not on anyone else's vision, but on the pure, untamable vision that comes from your soul. So go now, live your truth, love yourself fully, let go of needing their understanding, and instead create the life that reflects the real you, the one who is enough just as you are. And in that, you'll find that the true love you've always longed for was never something to seek. It was always something to be. And so here you stand not in the shadows of others' expectations, but in the light of your own truth. You are free. Free from the need to explain yourself, to justify your choices, to shape your life to fit into someone else's vision of who you should be. The power in this moment is profound. When you let go of the desire for others to understand you, when you stop seeking their approval, you reclaim your life. You reclaim your narrative. You stop living for them and you start living for you. And this freedom is not an isolated experience. It's the gateway to deeper connections, to richer, more meaningful relationships. When you stop seeking to be understood, you allow space for others to show up as their true selves too. The connection you crave, the love you've always sought, is no longer something you need to chase. It flows naturally when you give yourself the permission to simply be. The people who are meant for you will come. The love you've always wanted will find its way to you, but not from a place of need or lack. It will come from a place of abundance, of wholeness, of love that begins within you, not from anyone else's recognition. As you stand in this newfound space, realize this. You were never meant to fit into the narrow definitions of others. You were meant to break free, to carve your own path, to define your own worth. And when you do that, when you no longer need anyone's approval to walk your journey, you walk with a strength and power that can't be shaken. You are the author of your own story now. You choose your worth. And that, my friend, is the greatest act of self-love you can give yourself. When you stop waiting for someone else to validate your existence, you stop giving them power over your life. You are enough. You are whole. And when you realize this, you become the embodiment of love, unconditional, self-sustaining, pure. Now, go forth with this truth. You are worthy of love exactly as you are. Let go of needing anyone else to understand you. Love yourself deeply, fiercely, and authentically. When you do, everything will fall into place. The people who see you, the opportunities that align with your true self, will begin to unfold before you. And you'll discover at last that true love was never about needing others to understand you. It was about understanding yourself fully, completely, and without fear. You have always been enough. Now live as the real you.